classroom now, you go have to like switch over to the phone.
4 people, that's it?
Oh, we all like it, like two.
You're playing individual, I do believe. So we ready to go? 4 is it? 4 people?
Like the whole college team. And
Okay, virtual, is everybody on who wants to be on? Here we go.
hi, lady.
I gotta get my virtual time.
Oh, wow.
I know he's Joe.
My name has been Joe since like 10th grade on.
Yeah. So we can go and then, oh, wow. It's spicy. What did he say? He said, does it matter?
Hey, go on.
They.
So you're almost out of pages. I am. My only question is this, if you're not charting, must
Yeah, a little
not
bit.
be doing this. It just seems like,
Where we
you
go,
know,
Jordan?
I'm saying, I
Whoa.
can see it for charting people.
You know, industry. Technology. Like you're.
Stupid Joe Patrick. You can't, I know.
I agree.
I mean, it shows that we're on tag. That if
Oh,
we're already
geez.
not, our body has to keep track.
Amen. I love it. Okay, guys, are you ready to play?
Let's go.
Okay, virtual folks, am I virtual ready, everybody?
Hold on, wait. Whoa.
Virtual? Everybody ready on
Yeah,
virtual?
we're
Heads up,
ready.
yes? Let's get the music going. I muted it. I learned how to mute today, the other window. Here we go. We ready to play? Here we go. All right. Love it. No pictures this time. The rod.
No pictures.
No pictures. It's all the way at the top. The rod. What does the rod mean? Yes, to ridicule, to mock. Looks like we got mixed up with to criticize sharply. Right?
The next one.
That's right. Censure.
Wow, why did I just say it?
All right. So what does censure mean? To criticize sharply. Very good. Very nice. Gamble. B-O-L. What does it mean to gamble? B-O-L. Gamble. Very good. To frolic. To romp about. Congratulations. All right. Immolate. Immolate. Very good. To kill someone as sacrificial victim, usually by fire. Scary. Recondite. What does it mean, recondite? Difficult to understand, profound. Very good. Martinet. What is a martinet? A strict disciplinarian, taskmaster. Very good. This is fantastic. Quagmire. A swamp, a difficult or inextricable situation. Very good. Job.
That boy there. I know you got it right, but
To scoff, to ridicule. Very good. To scoof. Very good. Okay. Okay.
Hey, y'all remember that memo when college had this place?
Open mouth, surprised. Very good. Okay. All right. Carcinogen. Carcinogen. Causing cancer. Ooh. Look at that. Olfactory. Olfactory. Very good. Pretending to smell. Really good. Imperious. Imperious. Domineering haughty. Very good. Oh, it is. Grotesque. Grotesque. Absurd, distorted. Oh no, we didn't get to see who it is. Sorry. Neologism. We have to wait. Sorry. It is. That is a new word expression. Oh, okay.
Tyler, bro, you give one more right, I swear you'll pass. Don't count. You gotta get past
Hackneyed. That is commonplace, overused. All right. Congratulations. Great. Oh, come on. Congratulations. Right. Congratulations. That's awesome. Very good. Congratulations, Abby's. Okay, so guys. So are you guys just one day going?
Oh, wait, I don't know this guy.
So why don't we just do one today and then maybe do one tomorrow, or just you just want to kind of
I
take
get a prize.
quiz?
Wait, I get a
You
prize.
should get a prize. I got some chocolate. I can give you chocolate. Well, you want some chocolate?
Oh, yeah, Tyler did.
Hey, we're not first, relax.
Tyler did. Thank you. You wanted to do last time.
Hey, you're not first, relax.
Okay, so guys. So just, would y'all rather play another game today or wait till tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Let's make it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay, guys, so everybody needs to go ahead and go to their classroom, and they need to go ahead and pull up their journal. We're going to continue the Bible today. Okay, guys, before we go, listen, I want to make sure everyone is checking their grade. I'm about to put in your essay grade. Those have been returned to you, your college essays, as have your resumes. So those 2 grades will go in today.
Yeah.
So make sure you look at your eSchool. If not, well, right now it's not in there, but maybe later today and tomorrow, be sure it's in there. We're going to need to call parents or guardians if the grade is under a C, okay? And I'd rather not do that, but I need to do that. So I hope I don't have to do that for this class. We also need to make sure we have an AR book that you're reading to satisfy your goal for October 14th and that you're taking your STAR test. Yes, Logan?
I'm trying to get into my thing and saying I need to get ID. I have no.
Are you going to the school website?
I'm going to the college board. They say the Renaissance.
Renaissance. Go to the school website. If you go to Loveridge Catalog, go that way, okay?
Hey, man, first question.
Okay, guys, so let's go ahead. Now you need your journal pulled up. Again, I want to remind everybody, if you miss class and you need to go and you're doing this from home, you go to Google Meet, go to your Google Classroom, and it should be the little camera there. You just click on that. Also, another time-saving thing is that I do topics in here, so I would not waste your time going to the stream I would actually go to classwork and go to topics, and you can pick out whatever we're doing. So right now we're doing Beowulf, so you can just click on Beowulf, and those are the 4 videos we watched. We're actually not reading this one right here. We're going to go ahead and read the PDF of Beowulf on this one. The difference is it's the same text. It's by the same translator, but the one on the top starts earlier, and this one is actually synced with audio. So those at home, if you miss a class period, you can do this at home. So what I'm doing, we're going to go to Beowulf because we read the line 125. We responded in our journals. The question was, respond to the first 125 lines. I believe you had class time yesterday to do that. So if you haven't done that, you need to do that. All right. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull up the text, and I have to download. Every time I do this, I have to push that. Okay. All right. So now we got to line 125. So I'm going to get that up here. And just reviewing, what did we read about yesterday? Guys, what happened?
Grendel went on a freaking nuke.
Yes,
He got a nuke is what he did.
Well,
Kill streak
He went
going.
over, yeah, pure
And then-
kill streak.
And they were praising to the pagan gods, the stone gods, praying to God. They prayed to the devil too.
some of his men did, yes.
Yeah, and then
They were actually
and
went behind the
then-
back with secret meetings.
yeah.
They did. That's
and then
true.
Beowulf heard, and he got 14 men on a boat to go to the king's throne and help him.
Very good.
And the story actually got spread around, and that's how they were.
Very bright, and it's like you said, took it a while because they traveled on the ocean on boats. They didn't have phones like we do now. Very good. All right, anything else anybody wants to add? We noticed the commingling of the pagan and the Christian, as you all
Yeah.
said. All right, are we ready? Everybody ready to read and listen? Because we will have a journal entry in just a moment. So, guys, here's the deal. As we do this, I've got Go Guardian that I hate to have to turn it on, but I will, just to make sure everybody is on their appropriate device in here. So please make sure you're staying on that. And again, if you all had rather read this individually, I can just do that, assign lines. I don't mind a bit.
It's kind of better when you read it because you explain it.
Well, I like to do it as a whole class. I like to hear what you're thinking about. But my virtual kids, I would recommend you do that as well, that you stay on and listen. If if you're having trouble, I'm recording this. You get back on later to see that, okay? Does anybody have any questions on virtual? Yes, we can. You mind to do it for me, Jonah? It does feel better. I don't like the lights. Okay, so I believe I'm far enough away from everybody to have my mask off. So,
You look like you're doing like the Sam Max couple.
I can do that when I'm virtual.
okay, so guys, here we go. So we know Beowulf is on his way with his men, his best men, right? The best. Would anyone else like to read? It is 14 men, is it not?
Yeah, it's 14. Beowulf pulling up with the slime.
Okay, so guys, would anyone like to volunteer? Would you like to read?
No.
Oh,
Come on, man. Just do lesson one.
lesson 1.
Yeah.
What do you mean like on the journal?
Yeah.
It'll be just if are you dating them? Are you dating? Go ahead and date. Today's the 24th. So 9/24 in your journal. This will be 9/24. And I haven't even said anything yet, but we will write about something today. All right. No one wants to volunteer to read? All right. Beowulf, now notice this text right here. This is actually why it's an excerpt, because this is part of a larger poem. We're not reading every bit of it. We're just reading part of it. So this is what's happened, that we're not actually reading the poetry part. Beowulf and his men sail over the sea to the land of the Danes to offer help to Hrothgar. They are escorted by a Danish guard to Heorot, where Wulfgar, one of Hrothgar's soldiers, tells the king of their arrival. Hrothgar knows of Beowulf and is ready to welcome the young prince and his men. Now, I wish this one doesn't share, this excerpt doesn't share how Beowulf gave his resume basically to the watchman, because you can imagine how paranoid this country is going to be. They're not going to just let people come in. So he's like, who are you guys coming in so openly? I don't know who you are. And Beowulf tells who his dad is. I'm here to help you. I've heard of you got a terrible creature here. And then he tells him, kind of gives him an oral resume. He's like, I've killed this many giants. I've battled sea beasts. I've taken care of them. I can do this. And then he says, if it might be my time to die. I'm okay with that because he believes in weird, right? Fate. So he's willing to do that. Okay, we'll pick up on line 125. Then Wulfgar went to the door and addressed the waiting seafarers with soldiers' words. My lord, the great king of the Danes, commands me to tell you that he knows of your noble birth, and that having come to him from over the open sea, you have come bravely and are welcome. Now go to him as you are, in your armor and helmets, but leave your battle shields here, and your spears, let them lie, waiting for the promises your words may make. Beowulf arose with his men around him, ordering a few to remain with their weapons, leading the others quickly along under Heorot's steep roof into Hrothgar's presence. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Guys, I am so sorry. I just cannot think about that. Okay. All right. Standing on that prince's own hearth, helmeted, the silvery metal of his shirt gleaming with a smith's high art, he greeted the Danes' great lord. Hail, Hrothgar! Hygelac is my cousin and my king. The days of my youth have been filled with glory. Now Grendel's name has echoed in our land. Sailors have brought us stories of Heorot, the best of all mead halls, deserted and useless when the moon hangs in the skies, the sun had lit. Light and life fling together. My people have said, the wisest, most knowing, and best of them, that my duty was to go to the Danes as great king. They have seen my strength for themselves, have watched me rise from the darkness of war, dripping with my enemies' blood. I drove here's where he's getting his resume. I drove 5 great giants into chains, chased all of that race from the earth. I swam in the blackness of night, hunting monsters out of the ocean and killing them one by one. Death was my errand and the fate they had earned. Now Grendel and I are called together, and I've come. Grant me then, Lord and protector of this noble place, a single request. I have come so far, O shelter of warriors and your people's loved friend, that this one favor you should not refuse me, that I alone and with the help of my men may purge all evil from this hall. I have heard too that the monster's scorn of men is so great that he needs no weapons and fears none, nor will I. Okay, so he just said he's not going to use any weapons to kill this beast because Grendel's not using weapons.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I get that it's like, okay, it has to be something that's like in it for both of the sides because the monster gets killed. But what is in it for him exactly? Is it like just added to his resume or something?
For Beowulf,
Yeah.
you bet. It's glory. And he is doing it for glory. I mean, he wants to be a good guy and help. Heck yeah, he wants to add it on. Exactly. I'm glad that is an excellent question that you asked. All right. That's excellent. All right, where are we now? Okay, here we go. Let's see. He's not using any weapons. My lord Hygelac might think less of me if I let my sword go where my feet were afraid to. If I hid behind some broad linden shield, my hands alone shall fight for me, struggle for life against the monster. God must decide who will be given to death's cold grip. Grendel's plan, I think, will be what it has been before, to invade this hall and gorge his belly with our bodies, if he can. If he can. And I think if my time will have come, there'll be nothing to mourn over, no corpse to prepare for its grave. Grendel will carry our bloody flesh to the moors, crunch on our bones, and smear torn scraps of our skin on the walls of his den. It's gross. No, I expect no Danes will fret about sewing our shrouds if he wins. And if death does take me, send the hammered mail of my armor to Hygelac, return the inheritance I had from Hrethel, and he from Wayland. Fate will unwind as it must. What do you think about that? He's pretty brave, isn't he? He's saying, I can do this. I'm not going to use any weapons. You know what? No one's going to cry if this is my time because what? I'm going out. Yes, I'm going out fighting. I'm not a coward. I'm doing this. If I do get killed, send my things back to my people, right? All right, questions or comments? All right, line 190. Hrothgar replied, protector of the Danes, Beowulf, you've come to us in friendship, and because of the reception your father found at our court. Edethgo had begun a bitter feud, killing Hathlath, a wolfling warrior. Your father's countrymen were afraid of war if he returned to his home, and they returned him away. Then he traveled across the curving waves to the land of the Danes. I was new to the throne then, a young man ruling this wide kingdom and its golden city. Hergar, my older brother, a far better man than I, had died, and dying made me second among Healfdane's sons, first in this nation. I bought the end of Ecgtheow's quarrel, send ancient treasures through the oceans, furrows to the wolfings. Your father swore he'd keep that peace. My tongue grows heavy and my heart when I try to tell you what Grendel has brought us, the damage he's done here in this hall. You see for yourself how much smaller our ranks have become and can guess what we've lost to his terror. Surely the Lord Almighty could stop his madness, smother his lust. How many times have my men, glowing with courage, drawn from too many cups of ale, sworn to stay after dark and stemmed that horror with a sweep of their swords? And then in the morning, this meat hall glittering with new light would be drenched with blood, the benches stained red, the floors all wet from that fiend's savage assault, and my soldiers would be fewer still, death taking more and more. But to table, Beowulf, a banquet in your honor. Let us toast your victories and talk of the future. All right, so how does the king react?
You think that Beowulf can play?
Absolutely. We're hoping so. He's got to hope so, right? Line 225. Then Hrothgar's men gave places to the Geats, yielded benches to the brave visitors, and led them to the feast. The keeper of the mead came carrying out the carved flasks and poured that bright sweetness. A poet sang from time to time in a clear, pure voice. Danes and visiting Geats celebrated as one, drank and rejoiced. All right, so now in your journal, I want everybody, we're going to stop for just a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and include it in your journal. So we need to go to journal. I want you to pick an image. You know what an image is, a picture that's described, and I want you to write about it. So again, this is going to be, I'll leave it under, I'll go ahead and put journal 4, and you can label it, date it today. This is going to be, select an image from lines, let's see, 125 to, how far did we get? 232. Onto that image. What did you notice? Okay, so that's going to be that'll be that. So you could, guys, there's plenty. It's laden with images. You can go back, and if I need to scroll back up, like a picture as it was described there, they're glittering helmets. You know, I mean, there are several. Let me just give you some examples as we go through here. Just respond to it. What do you think about it? What do you picture? What does it remind you of? If you've seen, like, oh, that reminds me of a video game, or that reminds me of a movie, or something like that, just respond to it. So here it talks about the keeper of the mead, that's that alcoholic drink that they love so much, and carved flasks. And then you got the poet singing there, and they're celebrated drinking. That's an image. Everyone's upbeat because we're going to beat this beast, right? That's one. This other one, you've got Hrothgar's men. They're moving over, giving their seats to the guests who are going to help them rid them, hopefully, of this beast, right? Here is a terrible image of, Hrothgar describing what it looked like the next morning, all the blood. So that would be a different image if you want to talk about that one, right? Let's see. I remember the helmets. That was a picture in my mind too. And here, of course, he describes again Grendel, coming in at night, attacking, carrying the bloody flesh to the moors, the torn scraps of skin on the walls. Now that is a very ugly, unpleasant image. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I can see Beowulf here. I know that sure I can. I can go anywhere. Right here? Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, also, if you scroll up that place that talked about their silver helmets shimmering in the light, how he told some of them to stay there by the boats and stay there on board. That could be one. And again, you're responding to it. You're saying, well, this reminds me, because a lot of times when we read this is nothing new in media. I mean, you've seen images, I'm sure, that remind you of this. But this is very old, of course. So I'm thinking that a lot of the filmmakers, game makers, they are familiar with this. They read it like you in English, and it affects them. It affects what they think of and how they create things. So, particularly when we get to, I think, the dragon later, I'm going to hear a lot of people comment on that. I'm pretty sure that of what it reminds you of.
Okay, we're supposed to do what about it? Like pick out everything and
Yes, pick out an image and just talk about it for a minute. What do you do you think? Does it bring any, does it remind you of anything? What do you think of? Is it does it make you feel when you read it? It makes me feel happy, even though I know he's about, it's very dangerous what he's about to do, but it's such a happy time, the banquet, because they're welcoming their guests there who've come to help them. And just the way it's described, it's just a really pleasant, warm place, the meat hall. Again, because they know that, Beowulf said he's going to come tonight. He's going to try to attack us because we're here at this meat hall and we're having a good time. We're pretending like we'll be asleep and we'll see what happens. The other place I was going to show y'all of the other image was up here oh my goodness, right here. What about here? His resume. Dripping with enemy's blood. He's driving 5 great giants chained. Swam in the blackness of night. Okay, there's actually, guys, this is the front of a wooden Viking house in Trelleborg, Denmark. It's an outdoor museum. It houses, had a main door at each end and contained a huge central room where a great fire burned.
So it's not a barn?
It is. That's right. I was going to find, here it is. Okay, when I see this, Heorot's steep roof into Hrothgar's presence, standing on that prince's hearth, helmeted, silvery metal of his mail shirt, gleaming with a smith's high art. It's just beautiful. Okay. I'm hoping we can get into, is it okay if I go ahead and get on the next Beowulf piece, or do y'all need me to keep this up here? Anybody need me to keep it up here? Okay, I'm going to go the battle, because we're about to read about the battle with Grendel. So excited. Well, I think that's a central place. They for warmth, for warmth there, and just people are kind of drawn to a fire. Kind of like we are with bonfires. It's just kind of a place you come to get warm. It has light. Then some electricity back in.
So it's just like a little gathering
It
place?
is a meat hall. It's a place where they used to feel safe until Grendel started attacking them. Okay, let me check with my virtual. Are you guys going to be ready to start reading again, or do you need a little bit more time? Virtual, how are we doing virtual? Y'all need more time?
I need more time.
Responding? Anybody? Are y'all ready to read some more? I know we've got about 12 minutes before tech time, so we can get about 12 minutes.
Ms. Riggs.
Hi guys, remember this is helmet from Dr. Maslow's video here. It's in this reconstruction of helmet from Sutton Hoo ship burial. We've seen that before.
Ms. Riggs.
Okay, are y'all ready to start, or is anyone still writing? Finished? Okay, everyone, guys, you are getting points for the journals, so please make sure that you are doing it.
Ms. Riggs.
Okay, after the banquet, Hrothgar and his followers leave Heorot, and Beowulf and his warriors remain to spend the night. Beowulf reiterates his intent to fight Grendel without a sword, and while his followers sleep, lies waiting, eager for Grendel to appear. Out from the marsh, from the foot of misty hills and bogs, bearing God's hatred, Grendel came, hoping to kill anyone he could trap on this trip to High Heorot. He moved quickly through the cloudy night, up from his swampland, sliding silently toward that gold-shining hall. He had visited Hrothgar's home before, knew the way, but never before nor after that night found Heorot defended so firmly, his reception so harsh. He journeyed forever joyless, straight to the door, then snapped it open, tore its iron fasteners with a touch, and rushed angrily over the threshold. He strode quickly across the inlet floor, snarling and fierce. His eyes gleamed in the darkness, burned with a gruesome light. Then he stopped, seeing the hall crowded with sleeping warriors, stuffed with rows of young soldiers resting together. And his heart laughed. He relished the sight, intended to tear the life from those bodies by morning. The monster's mind was hot with the thought of food and the feasting his belly would soon know. But fate that night intended Grendel to gnaw the broken bones of his last human supper. All right, we call that foreshadowing, don't we? Human eyes were watching his evil steps, waiting to see his swift, hard claws. Grendel snatched at the first geet he came to, ripped him apart, cut his body to bits with powerful jaws, drank the blood from his veins, and bolted him down, hands and feet. Death and Grendel's great teeth came together, snapping life shut. So he did get one, didn't he? He ate one. Then he stepped to another still body, clutched at Beowulf with his claws, grasped at a strong-hearted, wakeful sleeper, and was instantly seized himself, claws bent back, as Beowulf leaned up on one arm. That shepherd of evil, guardian of crime, knew at once that nowhere on earth had he met a man whose hands were harder. His mind was flooded with fear, but nothing could take his talons and himself from that tight, hard grip. Grendel's one thought was to run from Beowulf, flee back to his marsh, and hide there. This was a different Herod than the hall he had emptied. But Hygelac follower remembered his final boast and, standing erect, stopped the monster's flight. Fastened those claws in his fist till they cracked, clutched Grendel closer. The infamous killer fought for his freedom, wanting no flesh but retreat, desiring nothing but escape. His claws had been caught. He was trapped. That trip to Herod was a miserable journey for that writhing monster. All right, so he gets one geet and eats him, and then he grabs Beowulf. What happens then?
He grabs his hand, whooshes him.
Absolutely, but he makes his claws go back, and he's never felt pain before and never felt fear, and now he just wants to get away. Line 290. The high hall rang, its roof boards swayed, and Danes shook with terror. Down the aisles the battle swept, angry and wild. Herod trembled, wonderfully built to withstand the blows, the struggling great bodies beating at its beautiful walls. Shaped and fastened with iron, inside and out, artfully worked, the building stood firm. Its benches rattled, fell to the floor, gold-covered boards grating at Grendel and Beowulf battled across them. Hrothgar's wise men had fashioned Herod to stand forever. Only fire, they had planned, could shatter what such skill had put together, swallow in hot flames such splendor of ivory and iron and wood. Suddenly the sounds changed. The Danes started a new terror, cowering in their beds as the terrible screams of the Almighty's enemies sung in the darkness, the horrible shrieks of pain and defeat, tears torn out of Grendel's taut throat, Hell's captive caught in the arms of him who of all men on earth was the strongest. The mighty protector of men meant to hold the monster till its life leaped out, knowing the fiend was of no use to anyone in Denmark. All of Beowulf's band had jumped from their beds, ancestral swords raised and ready, determined to protect their prince if they could. Their courage was great, but all wasted. They could hack at Grendel from every side, trying to open a path for his evil soul, but their points could not hurt him. The sharpest and hardest iron could not scratch at his skin, for that sin-stained demon had bewitched all men's weapons, laid spells that blunted every mortal man's blade. So why can't his men help him? What their weapons? What's he done?
Because he like has a spell or something that makes him like.
Can't use them. Okay, very good. And yet his time had come. His days were over. His death near. Down to hell he would go, swept groaning and helpless to the waiting hands of still worse fiends. Now he discovered, once the afflicter of men, tormentor of their days, what it meant to feud with Almighty God. There's your Christian influence. Grendel saw that his strength was deserting him, his claws bound fast, Hygelac's brave follower tearing at his hands. The monster's hatred rose higher, but his power had gone. He twisted in pain, and the bleeding sinews deep in his shoulders snapped. Muscle and bone split and broke. The battle was over. Beowulf had been granted new glory. Grendel escaped, but wounded as he was, could flee to his den, his miserable hole at the bottom of the marsh, only to die, to wait for the end of all his days. And after that bloody combat, the Danes laughed with delight. He who had come to them from across the sea, bold and strong-minded, had driven affliction off, purged Herod clean. He was happy now with that night's fierce work. The Danes had been served as he boasted he'd served them. Beowulf, a prince of Geats, had killed Grendel, ended the grief, the sorrow, the suffering forced on by Hrothgar's helpless people by a bloodthirsty fiend. No Dane doubted the victory, for the proof hanging high from the rafters where Beowulf had hung it was the monster's arm, claw, and shoulder and all. Okay, guys, why? And the question here: why would he hang his arm on the rafters?
Show that they won. Show like
It's more
brag,
like that,
maybe
you know.
like a brag, like
Okay, bragging, yes.
It's kind of like when they own the American
kinda
flag
like
after the war. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that.
You're right, it is. It is like a trophy. And it's like, look, he was haunting you all for years, but look, it's not going to happen anymore. Excellent. All right, let's read just a hair more. We got 5 minutes. And then in the morning, crowds surrounded Heorot, warriors coming to that hall from faraway lands, princes and leaders of men hurrying to behold the monster's great staggering tracks. They gaped. That's like a gape, isn't it? They gaped with no sense of sorrow, felt no regret for his suffering, went tracing his bloody footprints, his beaten and lonely flight to the edge of the lake, where he had dragged his corpse-like way, doomed and already weary of his vanishing life. The water was bloody, steaming and boiling in horrible pounding waves. Heat sucked from his magic veins, but the swirling surf had covered his death, hidden deep in murky darkness, his miserable end, as hell opened up to receive him. So what happened to Grendel?
you went down here.
He did, he went. All right, line 375. Then old and young rejoiced, turned back from that happy pilgrimage, mounted their hard-hooved horses, high-spirited stallions, and rode them slowly toward Heorot again, retelling Beowulf's bravery as they jogged along. And over they swore that nowhere on earth or under the spreading sky or between the seas, neither south nor north, was there a warrior worthier to rule over men. But no one meant Beowulf's praise to belittle Hrothgar, their kind and gracious king. And sometimes when the path ran straight and clear, they would let their horses race, red and brown and pale yellow back streaming down the road. And sometimes a proud old soldier who had heard songs of the ancient heroes and could sing them all through, story after story, would weave a net of words for Beowulf's victory, tying the knot of his verses smoothly, swiftly into place with a poet's quick skill, singing his new song aloud while he shaped it, and the old songs as well. Okay, guys, we'll start on Monday with this. We'll actually review, and we'll use these questions to review. It is a little bit early, but we're going to stop there. I just need everybody to make sure, here's the deal with this, because, guys, you will have a test over this. So I need you to make sure that you're listening. We're going over it now. We're reading it together now. I'm not going to go back over and read it all again with you. So I'm hoping that you're listening. I'm hoping that you're paying attention. And I'm hoping you're doing your journals to get those points there, okay?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Beowulf, like AR, like could you get AR quotes from this?
I think there is, and what it is it's excerpt. This is excerpted. So I would want to take the test before you and to kind of. But my answer is yes. Most of what we've written here is, but again, this is part of a longer work, and so it would throw questions that you haven't read that you wouldn't know.
Right.
So that's the only thing. But if you're going to do that, let me know, and I'll take it before you. I'll try. But I wouldn't want to depend on that because it's that way. Now Macbeth will be ready. I think it's worth. I can't remember how much Macbeth is worth, but that'll be after Christmas, for Christmas. And then Frankenstein is worth like 17 points, I think.
Wait, where are you from?
In the spring, yes.
You do them guys?
Yes.
They do them all.
Okay, so you guys may have your tech time. It's a little bit early, but you all have earned it. Okay, guys, does anybody have any questions? Virtual? Okay. Remember, test is tomorrow. I'll be sure to study for your test tomorrow.
Ms. Riggs?
So you walk, take on the football field, you walk out, yeah, they're quite native. And then you get just what you need.
Right, all that, it's gonna be like.
In the final.
Please stop.
Wait, we're like half.